Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Towns. In the previous episode, we named the area of Southbridge. I'm not really sure what it is. I'm just going to call it an area. It's like a side village or a sub-district or something of Chipton. I'm leaving the stations called Chipton North and South just because it's set up and I can't bother changing it. I mean, it would take 2 seconds, but I'm going to call it Chipton North and South, and this is sort of the Southbridge bit of Chipton or something, and it gets an even bigger sign because it's a longer name. But yes, today we are going to deal with a couple of biters. Only at the start, we're just going to take out a couple of bases that are getting a little bit closer. I don't know whether we've got closer to them with pollution or they've settled within our pollution range, but there are 3 bases in total, which are within the pollution, I think, and we're going to deal with 2 of them. There's one in the south, one in the west, and there's that one in the north that we've seen, we saw a while ago that has the big worm in it. We could go deal with it now. We have the capability to deal with the big worms when we use the turret creep method, but I've just sort of forgotten about it, and I think when I got round to it, I was a bit worried about how much ammo I had left, so I left it. But I'm going to take out this one first. This one, I think, just has 1 medium worm in it, so we could possibly take it out with the car, but I've decided to just use the turret creep method because it's safer, and it's less likely to result in an exploded car. So we've taken out the worm, and the rest of it we can pretty much deal with ourselves, as long as we have the turrets to back ourselves up. Though I do run into a bit of health trouble. I eat 2 fish to get rid of some damage, because the worm still packs quite a punch. If it switches targets to you, which it seemed to be doing, then it doesn't go so well for you. I put a turret on there anyway to keep that defended while we're gone. At some point we'll probably build a town there. But yes, I think what happened there was that when I went in, I was the first thing that the worm saw, so it locked onto me, and then as far as I could tell, it would switch back to me whenever I came in range, rather than the previous thing of the turrets being the target. So I need to make sure I build the turrets ahead of me, so that the worms don't start targeting me, because then they don't switch, as far as I can tell. I mean, I may be wrong about that, but that's what it looked like. So we're learning more about how to deal with them. But yes, we're turret creeping this one now, nice and simple. I'm keeping the car like backed up against the turret line so that in an emergency I can hop in and drive away as quick as possible. That'll probably never happen because we do have turrets here, but in future, when things get a little bit like more hectic and there are big biters involved, we may end up like at some point running out of ammo in the middle of a turret creep and needing to get away very quickly. In which case it'll be a bit awkward because we'll have to like bring them back to a base where they can be shot down by the turrets there, or just sort of drive around them for a while, slowly picking them off. It can be quite difficult, particularly with them having different speeds. The different worms are different speeds, so they end up like grouping together in their particular sort of categories. That can help in a way. Yes, but anyway, we've dealt with that base, and now we're going to make our way home, and we're going to spend the rest of the day working on the new oil town. I've decided that that's what we're going to start with. I was thinking that we might just leave it for now, and we just have that set up ready for when we do need it. But at the end of the day, it's the next thing to do. We've completed the red and green sign stuff, so the next thing we need is blue signs. For that we need oil. It's simple as that. We need plastic and oil and things like that, so it is the next place to go. So we'll probably build this town, and then an advanced circuit town, then a blue science town, and then a town for the rest of science somewhere other than the main base, which we are in now. We're resupplying. Everything's fine. Getting plenty of gears and stuff. The purpose of this base now is entirely to resupply me, because it just shuts down while I'm gone. There's no science to do or anything. It's just building up stuff so I can grab it and use it to build more stuff. And one day it will supply me with the materials to build its replacement, which is sort of sad now I think about it. Now I don't want to replace it. But anyway, we're going to go and set up some pump jacks, so that does take a while. We'll just set those off crafting. We can go get on with other things. One thing I decided to do is get rid of some of the flooring here, because of course this base will one day cease to be. We won't need it anymore. We'll be supplied by various other places, so we can just get rid of this flooring. It's going to take a while, so we might as well make use of the time we've got while we're waiting for the pump jacks to be made. And as I do this, I uncover an interesting bit of terrain. The ground under a particular patch is it's all sort of dry and cracked, and what I think this is it's something to do with the trouble we had at the beginning of the 0.12 update. I can't remember when I started this series. I think it was at the beginning of 0.12 or very shortly after it, when these bugs might still have been present. But for a while there was a bug where placing stone could make water appear, and it appears that there's been some sort of weird thing with the terrain there, because the place where I put a line in underneath the steam engine column that I had is now a different bit of terrain. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that before. It seems very out of place. It's just this one band, so I think that's what it is. But yeah, I guess that'll just be there forever now. It's quite cool anyway. I don't think I've seen that terrain much around the place. I think it's in sort of worse bits of desert. I've never really noticed it much, but it's quite cool. It should be used more. Or maybe it should just appear more in my particular map seeds, depending on how much it is actually used. But yes, we've got the 5 pump jacks in place. That's all we'll need for now, I imagine. We'll be starting fairly slow with one refinery and just going from there, working it out. And it'll be a while before we actually need any sort of throughput going on. Because a lot of what this will be is just setting up the actual systems in the first place. Throughput is very much it's very low on the priority list. There's a lot to do before then. So we'll set up a train, get it into position so we can work out where we need to put the inserters. And I have been educated in how these things work. As it turns out, the case is that when you set up the inserter for the first time, or something like that, they do work to have 6 on each cargo wagon. But if the train then leaves and comes back, then one will not work on the forward cargo wagon. So the way that it works is the first cargo wagon will only have space for 5 inserters, and the second one will have 6. I don't know where it goes from there because I didn't check, but that's how it works. So the it's a bit annoying because it means they're not even equal. It'd be better if they were both 5 or something in a way. Ultimately, I'll probably make use of that 6th one where I can. This space in particular is going to be very fiddly. There's going to be all sorts of things going in and out. We're going to need coal coming in, and I think maybe iron or copper. I'm not sure. I think that might just be for sulfuric acid, which we'll probably assemble, process on site in particular bases so that we can transport the sulfur by train. Still working that out. What I'm also working out is how I'm going to position the refinery. I'm being very indecisive about this. It looks like I picked my final location. I haven't. I change my mind later and move it again. I want to make sure it's all scalable and stuff in terms of like cracking plants and things like that, as well as extra refineries. So while I'm doing that, just setting up all of the tanks and the pipes connecting things together and stuff, let's go through the names of this oil town. There are a lot. I have got a list. I think it's pretty much complete. I don't think I missed it. I may have missed the odd name, but I think I got pretty much all the ones I could find on that particular video, on the last video, and the list has 99 names in it. So let's begin. We have Petrolia, Petrolberg, Petrolville, Petrolborough, Petra, Oleum, Oleum Locus, Pecton, Petroshka, Black Plains, Black Gold, Black Mesa, Black Friars, Blackwell, Blackfields, Black Diamond, Black Pearl, Blackberry, Black Vale, Black Sea, Black Lake, Blackwater Station, Blackville, Oilerville, Olean, Oilshire, Oils of War, Oilford, Oiling Bitershire, Oil Thin, Oil Central, Oil Inc., Alton, Tarpits, Tarpenny, Tartan, Tarrits, Tarpits, Tarful, and Target. They were all suggested by one guy. No one else suggested any tar names apart from this one guy who just gave me all of the tar names. Crude Pollution, Crudeville, Screwed, Crude Pool, Carbon Town, Mangled Plastics, Plasticide, Polymer Town, Shelbury, Sheldon, Lickwim, Slickery, Slickdam, Stickyville, Derrickton, Jackton, Jackford, Wellington, I quite like that one, that's quite clever, Rigton, Rigwell, St Pancras, also a clever one, Pipesburg, Pipesburg is also an option, Pipe Knot, Piper Beta, Barrelton, Barrelville, Crackdown, Crackton, Gastown, Gasworks, Gusher, Darkwater Station, Dark Lake, Toxicity, Hazardton, Biter Juice, Dino P, Dinosaur Point, Old Bones, Agrabar, Magnus, Square Town, someone's still trying to push the whole shape theme, Keystone, Red Adair, Samat Lore, Bakeland, Titusville, Maslerton, Rockefeller, Detroit, Brentford, Texas T, Little Texas, Jablanowski Wall, Ewington, and Baburka. I think I got that right. I hope I didn't put too much of a racist, what do you call it, accent to that. I tried to pronounce it as it was. It's spelt Boburka, but apparently the O, it's got an accent, it's pronounced U, I don't know. So yes, that was a lot of names. None of those are the one I picked in the end. But anyway, let's get back to what's going on in the game. So we've gone over to Colbury, and we find that the stone supply has run out. Luckily, there's a quite decently sized deposit up here that we can make use of. We can't... I would try to cover it with 3 miners, but unfortunately that doesn't work. We've got to use 4, but that's fine. I want to make sure we keep up our stone supply, because there's all sorts of things using stone. We need flooring and walls, and rails use it as well, which means it's quite important. It's interesting, really, because usually stone is an extremely low priority item for people. It ranks under pretty much everything else, like even to the extent of wood sometimes, because it's not usually vital. You don't need it for science or anything, but there are so many useful things that you can have it for, and I want to have plenty. So we get that hooked up again, and now there's enough coming through that it will get to that chest on the end, which is nice. Hopefully we'll get a full wooden chest of stone, because that's quite useful considering we need lots of rails. I mean, I could have always just put that in front of the furnaces, but I like to mess about with it this way and see if I can like get enough coming through that it gets to that final chest. But anyway, on our way out of Colbury, we resupply on coal. We also check up on the flooring production system we got going over there, the concrete assembler. Got plenty of concrete, in fact a bit too much right now. I really need to make use of it, but of course we have a new town that we've just built, so we can do a bit of flooring there. Anyway, back in the main base, resupplying once again. Have a quick check of the map, everything looks fine. There's that one base that's just inside pollution range in the north, but we haven't had any attacks from it yet, so it seems like it's all fine there. I imagine it'll start again at some point. Pollution will continue to pick up as we add more things in, of course. But I tried to send the Colbury train over to the new oil town, but I realised that it's not actually set up for that. I actually mentioned last episode that if needed I could add in an extra bit to this junction and make it a proper one rather than just a fork in the rails, and as it turns out we already need that. So we have this one train now, and it delivers coal from Southbridge up to Colbury, and then hops over to the oil town to supply things there. So I connected up. It's making a nice little sort of hexagon crisscross thing going on there, but it doesn't look quite right. I'm not sure about it. I may do some messing about with it later. I didn't have any sort of pre-made design that I use for this, so I just set it up, tried to make it so that all of the signals weren't flashing. Once again, I need to add in some rail signals, and I will do that at some point later when I can be bothered. At the moment there is only one train, so it doesn't really matter that much anyway. But there we go. We have coal now being delivered to the oil town, though we do have to set up the actual unloading of that. Also, we need to get the other train out of the way. This one sat there, it's just for measuring purposes. So we'll hop this over out of the way and park it up on the south-facing line. This probably won't see much use because... No, actually it may do, because I think I might have some iron or copper towns north of here, in which case there might be some being delivered in. Depends what we actually have being delivered here, I'm still not sure. I'll have to just work it out by looking at the... at all the stuff. It may be that we don't even need that much. I know we need coal to make plastic, but we may not need any other stuff, because you do need iron and copper for batteries and sulfuric acid, but I think we just want to make the sulfur, which just uses water. So that's all good. We may only need coal in the end, but there will be plastic and sulfur being delivered out. So it's going to be a little bit fiddly on this line. There's going to be a couple of different things going in and out. And we'll have to sort of strike a good balance with it. I guess it'll be like the oil outpost in Rail World, actually, very similar, does the same basic thing. We'll be forced to pipe out the lubricant, but I don't know. By the time we get to that, maybe there'll be tanker trains. That's something that's I think definitely like on the to-do list for Factorio. I mean, there are plenty of mods that do it, but I don't know. I like to stick with, like, if I'm going to go vanilla, I like to stick fully with vanilla. Things like that. At some point we'll do a lot of modded stuff, and of course we'll have all of the train mods and see where it goes with that. But yes, I'm just following the train as it comes over from Colbury. We've now got everything set up, so it starts being unloaded. There we go. And I have a check of how much is unloaded in one particular journey. The train stays for 20 seconds, and over 400 coal gets unloaded, so that should be absolutely fine. Again, throughput is not the priority right now. I'm just putting in as much as I imagine will be alright, or even just not doing that and making it expandable. But yes, I've got some buffer chests in that one as well. I haven't got buffer chests over in Colbury right now, the reason being that I couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to get the train set up as quickly as possible. Someone was asking why I didn't have buffer chests, and the reason is laziness. So yeah, there will be buffer chests in future when I get round to it. So we have the plastic being produced already, nice and simple. Petroleum gas and coal. We've got no uses right now for the heavy and light oil. We could turn them into solid fuel, but I usually like to keep them and just crack them into more petroleum gas. I don't know, maybe we'll make some solid fuel this time, because with there being so many oil deposits around, we probably really don't need to worry about like being efficient with our oil usage. I say that, who knows what could happen in the future. We probably want to be careful with it. There's plenty of coal. Like the coal supply in Southbridge is insane. And I'll be very surprised if we manage to use it up. But then I usually switch to solar power, so I don't know how much coal we might end up using. But yes, we've set up production of sulfur, nice and simple, water and petroleum gas. That's all done. Let's do some flooring. We've got some concrete, far too much of it right now. It's building up, the chest is full, and our inventory's got like 10 stacks of it. So I'm just running around, sort of surrounding everything with sort of one layer of it, seeing how that looks. And then it's like, in a way I feel like I'm wasting my time with it, because I do all these little squares around individual things, then I just go and square the whole thing. But I guess the reason I put the squares around initially is so I can work out how big the final square should be. But yes, we're having to work around this little bit of water. There's this very convenient tiny pond. It's 2 by 2, and it means that we can get water from right in the middle of the oil town for the purposes of advanced refining and making the sulfur. So that's good. But it's got such a large area that you can't build around it with flooring. It's always been a bit confusing to me how, like, flooring can't be placed within, like, 4 meters of water. I think it is 3. It makes it look weird. I would like to have it go up to the edge of the water, really, so you could have, like, like a proper dock thing, and like a quayside or whatever you'd call it. I don't know. But, like, be able to go right up against the water, because I think that makes sense. I don't know why it's not really a thing. But anyway, hopping back over to Colbury, once again resupplying on stone things. Got a chance to race the train there. That's quite fun, because with roads we may now be able to overtake trains if we manage to stay on them. I did sort of wiggle about in that one. Also, I wasn't actually going in that direction. I saw it and took the opportunity to race it before going back again to the main base to grab the stuff that I was there for. But yes, we're going to put the flooring around the pond. We're just going to have it sort of contained in it. And yeah, it's a 2x2 pond, and yet there's an 8x8 space that you can't put flooring in, which is really annoying. But yes, I think we're going to do some work on rails now, checking the pollution again. You can already see, if you sort of look carefully, that there is a bit of a bubble of pollution spreading out from the oil town specifically, because of course it's the only thing particularly active right now. The 2 chemical plants are going at full pelt, I think, making plastic. They will be for now anyway. I think the petroleum gas will or already has run out. Well, not completely, but the supply that was built up while I was setting things up will have run out, and things will have slowed down a fair bit. I've also put limits on the chests and things, so I think we have enough space for 5 stacks of sulfur and 10 stacks of plastic. We don't want to make too much, I guess. I guess it doesn't really matter that much, but if a biter comes along and blows it all up, that would be particularly annoying. And in fact, I realise now that I forgot to finish putting in the defences there. I've got the basic defences for the station, but the biters could easily go past those and start wrecking the tanks full of oil fractions, which would be no fun at all. So doing a bit of expanding in the rail lines going north and south, just because that was always sort of the plan. And it makes more sense now that the weird corner that I put leading up to this station, because I think someone was asking why it was sort of wider there, and the reason was that I was going to put in a junction. I could still have them sort of the right width with that junction, but I don't know, for some reason I feel like doing them that way for the junction. I may change it. There's different options. It depends on what works best with rail signals and things like that, and that applies as well to the weird new junction that goes between Colbury and the oil town, because it's not quite right. The road ends up being too thin there. I'll mess with it and see what happens. But yeah, so I'm just going to expand it up to the north. You can see there's a copper deposit here, and I have the intention of building probably the main copper smelting town there. That seems like a good idea. And then it can deliver down to Chipton in the distant future when we start needing like the copper being delivered in. But anyway, seeing as we've got this big open bit of rail here, I thought I'd do a bit of experimentation with the flooring. I'm not sure how I want to do the flooring for this. I sort of want to have stone underneath, because that makes sense. That's sort of what real rails are like. But then I'm not sure about sort of the specifics of it, whether there should be a bit of stone on either side as well, where the concrete should be in relation to it, because I want to use a mix of concrete and stone, just to make it a bit more interesting. So I'm just building a couple of different sort of test articles, different like widths and locations of the different bits of stone, and I'm going to put it to you. In a minute I'll number these with some nice dice things with concrete, and you can sort of vote on them. I don't know if I'll like set up a proper straw poll or anything like that, or whether I'll just sort of leave it open to discussion in the comments. But I want to use one of these, but I'm not really sure which one. So you can either sort of vote for one of these or a variation, or describe your own. And I'll see what I think. And once we've done that, we'll probably floor the entire rail line thing. Or the option of not flooring it is also there. But anyway, it's now time, after doing a bit of lighting, to name this town. So the name I picked, once again, despite there being 99 names suggested, I actually decided on a name that no one suggested. But it was based on the suggestions of 2 particular people. So those people were Beppo Venerdi, who suggested Frackingham, and Raz UK, who is very much on the ball and seems to know what sort of names I'm looking for. He suggested Frackford and Fracture, which is that's quite clever. It's pronounced fracture, but spelt fracture, as in Shire. So that's sort of the thing behind it. That was pretty much second place, that one. But I decided to go for Frackham because I thought that fit well, and also I don't want it too long because it'll stretch off into the distance, and I won't be able to read it properly. But there we go. That is our town sign, and we will name the stations as such. And I guess the thing for this episode's comments will be the discussion on the rail flooring. So we'll finish there. I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.